could it be? With me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, quick video that I wanted to jump out and do after seeing the Commander's Log episode. We talked briefly about it on the Commanders Kings program, but I haven't individually talked about it myself. So, wanted to do that. Also, a lot of you were sending me the Jayden Daniels and John Gruden video. So I had a chance to watch that. Roughly about, I think, 21 minutes or so. So check that out if you haven't already done so. But I wanted to talk about that. And then I cracked the code. And after I tell you about this, you're probably gonna be like, Louie T, you ain't cracked shit. Shut your dumb ass up. And you know what? You're probably right. And I probably deserve that. But I wanted to have a conversation about why I think the Commanders have talked to so many priority free agent type prospects and late round guys. So we'll talk about that today as well. But let's talk about the Commanders Log episode first. Let's knock that out and react to season 4, episode 3, I believe this was, if I'm not mistaken. Every year they give us a Commanders Log episode that centers around the scouts and the process, Senior Bowl and Combine, and kind of highlight those guys and all that they do for the work that they put in year round. They don't get enough credit, you know. And one of the guys that is here as a scout now was given like a lifetime achievement award, and so they were talking about, you know, the journey and, you know, what it means to be a scout and what you're looking for. And he was talking about, you know, building relationships and knowing, having people that you can trust, you know, sticking to your principles, and, you know, how you are able to be successful and have longevity in that particular career field. We got a little bit of Adam Peters, not a lot in this particular video. It was a very short one. Look, they spoiled me now. I'm used to movies. I'm used to the cinematic, you know, videos where you're just blown away, breathtaking stuff. We really didn't get any of that. They did show Deebo Samuel coming in and talk to him a little bit about the trade and his initial reaction finding out. But it wasn't anything that we hadn't already seen before. If you were watching, you know, various programs that the or various videos that they've been putting out on social media or even on the YouTube channel for the Commanders. So this one left a lot to be desired, to be honest with you. But I mean, everyone isn't going to be a home run. Like you can't expect every video to be 50 minutes long. You can't expect every video to be, you know, super interesting or you know, any of the sort. But it was cool, right? Like, I'll be honest, past years videos that were, you know, kind of like this were better to me, where they highlighted the scouts and all of that stuff. You know, this one wasn't all that to me. It didn't really move the needle for me. But I mean, again, any content is good content that comes out from the team at this point. So I wasn't looking for this one. And if I didn't get it, I wouldn't have missed it. Right? That's kind of how I feel. But you gave it to me. I'm going to take it. I appreciate it. And so we move forward. I expect the next one to be really good, because the next one is probably going to be centered around the draft and the phone calls and all of that stuff. And, you know, we're going to get some war room footage more likely than not. So I expect the next one to be extremely long and really good. So I'm looking forward to the next installment of Commander's Log. This one, I could have done without it, to be honest with you. But as far as the Jayden Daniels, John Gruden interview is concerned, that's anything Jayden Daniels is must watch, right? It's must see for us. We can't get enough of that stuff. And he's such a great interview because he's just a good dude and he's very personable. And I just love when you hear him talk about, you know, what makes him him and, you know, the success that he was able to have. And he's so humble. I think that's the part that after, you know, I hate doing this because you don't have to demean someone to lift someone else up, right? You can just talk about Jayden but I think part of the reason why it is so refreshing for me in particular as a fan is because when you've dealt with other quarterbacks or you've seen other quarterbacks that weren't humble, that came in here and felt entitled, it's so refreshing to see a guy come in here and understand that he had to earn everything and that I don't know everything and I want to be a sponge and I want to soak up as much information as I can from the vets and I want to create relationships with every player on the team and I just want to be a great teammate and you see that from Jayden, you hear about his work ethic. um, Rio had brought up something on the Commanders Kings where I think it was Rio and Ed that brought up the shoes. And I had just seen the X post with him with those shoes. They look like spaceship shoes. I'm like, what the hell are these? He explained the shoes with Gruden during the interview because that's essentially what this was. Gruden was pushing his shoulder pads, he was pushing his shoes, so they were able to come together and everybody wins, right? So those shoes are crazy. He was like, "Yep, you got to plug them up." He was talking about they heat your Achilles and all of that stuff up, and I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, these are different. So I guess it's some sort of a training and recovery shoe, and so he talked about that as well. But Jaden's just a down to earth, great dude. Hard not to like him, and it's hard not to love him. And then Gruden was just gushing over his play, and I love hearing Jayden. You can tell he's a competitor. Gruden was talking about the first time they played against Tampa, and obviously we got our asses whooped, and Jayden was like, "Yeah, we got beat up pretty good." But Gruden then came back and said, "But then you came back and I saw you, get them in the playoffs." And then he talked about his favorite game of Jayden's last year was the comeback against Philly, and Jayden, the first thing he wanted to go to was I threw an interception, that almost lost us the game. So I just knew if I got an opportunity, like he went straight to that. We've heard him say that before, but it you can tell that's the competitor in him. Like I told you, the most competitive people I know um, are all wired that way. I told you guys I'm wired that way. Where look, the wins are cool, but you always remember the losses more. They sting more than the wins feel good, right? You don't want to feel that way again. So you go straight to the mistake you made. Yeah, we won the game and I made some plays at the end, yada yada yada, but we could have lost the game, right? And that's the thing that I think makes Jayden great, right? And most competitors great. And he's no different. And so, great interview. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you go check it out. Matter of fact, I'll drop the link to that video down in the description, and I will pin that comment in this video. So if you haven't watched it, just click the link. It'll take you straight there, and you can check it out. That said, I think I've cracked the code. And again, you may be like, Louie T, you ain't cracked shit. Shut your dumb ass up. Okay. All right. You got me. Hands up. I think I cracked the code though. All right. And you be like, you ain't said nothing. Let me explain myself. So I want to take one final look at the top 30 visits in the private workouts. And again, I've always stressed that I'm not as big on focusing in on the who is as much as the position itself, right? That's what I'm more concerned about. Well, for this exercise, I am concerned with the actual names of the players because that holds weight. And remember, during this process, uh, for most of it, before we got to the top golf, um, trip, there weren't a lot of notable names on this list, right? And we kept talking about, or at least I did. I can't speak for you. I kept bringing it up like, hey, what's going on here? Where are the names, right? Where are the guys that we know? Who are these people, right? And I think the reason, and it just dawned on me the other day. I'm just sitting here going through this list, one final time, and I'm like, huh, and I start playing back some of the things Adam Peters had said, And then I thought about it and I realized ultimately you don't know, what's going to happen in the draft. And when you look at the list, I think I counted 11 out of these, let's say 30 names. We probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 30 names in front of us right now. 22 on the top 30, 8 on the private workouts. There's another private workout of a corner slash safety out of Jackson State as well. So like 31 names, right? Total in between these two lists. And of those names, GCL, the tackle out of Oregon State, 1. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, probably. I can't say if any other teams like him a lot. I think he's getting drafted, but you never know. We'll see because he didn't get invited to the combine. That's 2. Aiden Huntington, that's 3. Jonas Sanker, probably getting drafted more likely than not. But 4. Arian Smith, 5. Jalen Smith, 6. Carlin Vigors, 7. David Walker, 8. As you go over to the private workouts list, Tommy Malott, 9. Jamal Pritchett, 10. Xavier R is 11. And then I would even throw in the Jackson State DB and say that's 12 guys out of 31 names. 12 of them are either priority or, free agents or late round draft choices. And so if you're a late round draft choice, there's a chance you don't get drafted at all, right? Some of these guys are definitely not getting drafted, right? And I can't say definitely, but the likelihood is they're not getting drafted. And so I only bring this up because I this is what this is what I think is gonna. This is why I think they did this. Excuse me. And this is me cracking the code. I think because we talked about this on the Commanders Kings, and I know Rico had said, man, I love that they're leaving no stone unturned, and they're looking everywhere for these prospects, and I think all of us kind of feel that way, like they're doing their due diligence. This is great, as all teams do, but I think in our case in particular, we have to do this. Why? We only have 5 picks. We only have 5 picks. And, the assumption is, oh, they're just going to trade back and pick up more picks at some point in this draft. And I've been guilty of saying that. But what if they can't trade back? What if you go into this draft with 5 picks and you come out of this draft with 5 picks? What if that happens? Then what? Right? Like, this isn't a built, ready-made roster, right? We're not in the, latter stages of, the development of this roster. We just started. This is year 2 of the program. This is year 2 of the recalibration. This roster is far from a finished product. There are plenty of roster spots. Again, just about half of the roster is working on a 1-year deal. Like, there are plenty of roster spots available. Guys that they signed in the offseason don't have to make this roster. We only have 5 draft picks. And to me, that is the reason that they've looked at all of these priority free agents is a byproduct of, hey, we just don't have a lot of picks. So the likelihood is, and 2 of the picks that we do have, the 2 of the 5 are 6th and 7th round picks. So we already don't have a lot of resources at our disposal. Then 2 of our 5 picks are 6th and 7th rounders. So 40% of our draft is either in the 6th or 7th round. We only have 5 picks to begin with. So the likelihood is the pool that we'll be swimming in is going to either be priority free agents or late round draft picks. And so that's why I think there's been such an emphasis on late round draft picks, because you're either going to have, and I could see them maybe having 10 to 14, undrafted dudes that end up going to camp with us because we don't have a choice, right? So I just think that's why we've seen so much emphasis put on these late round draft picks and so much emphasis put on these guys that go to these smaller schools, priority free agents, because they don't have a choice. Like last year, there wasn't as much emphasis put on this because we had a ton of picks, primarily in days number 1 and 2, 2 in particular, right? We had 6 picks in the top 70 last year, something to that effect. 6 picks in the top 100, excuse me, I think it was. So obviously they did a lot more homework in that direction last year. Well, it's different this year because 40% of our picks come in the 6th and 7th round, and then you only have 5 picks. So you may come away with 5 players, and then you may have to go out and find 10 priority free agents. And I think that's why the emphasis has been put there. You guys tell me what you think. Leave it down in the comment section. Is that a duh, or does that make sense? So you tell me. And if there's a hidden gem that you think that the team can uncover and unearth, leave it down in the comment section. I'd love to check them out. If I've, with some of these names that the Commanders have been sniffing around or at least brought in for these workouts, they've been enlightening, especially Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I really like his game a lot. And I would not mind him being on this roster at all. At all. So if there's another name of a player that you think has that type of ability, leave them down in the comment section. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. You know what it is. Post up, take command, enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter, and I'll see you next week. Take care. LouieTeeNetwork.